Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Coach Martin Show. I'm your host, Coach Martin, and we're going to be talking today about never giving up. So super excited this season that we're in because I'm a big, huge football fan. And basically football, we know football started last week. So yesterday, my favorite team, the Broncos, and some people ask me all the time, why are you a Bronco fan? And that's a whole nother story. But I've been a Bronco fan since I was little, since I was a little guy. I remember when my dad passed away, I was in, with my mom, and we're going through photos like, typically you do when you lose somebody you love, and you go back and you reminisce. And she found a photo of me like at Christmas at the tree. I think I was like 7 years old, and I just got a football, so I unwrapped the football, but I was wearing a Bronco robe, which was kind of funny. So I was actually a fan way back then, but big fan. I've been on their season ticket waiting list for about 14 years, maybe 13 or 14 years. Every year they send me the number. I think right now my number is down to like 9,000, 10,000. So hopefully, Lord willing, I'm going to get these tickets before I go. So I want to be able to go and be a season ticket holder. But here's the interesting thing, right? So we have a rookie that started yesterday, and I'm excited. He played in Oregon. He did really well in college. He's a brother in the Lord, so I root for him. Even more, right? And I want him to work out, and it doesn't always work out with quarterbacks because, it's a tough position and it's hard to be able to find one. I mean, you're talking about like 10 or 15 people in the world that make it at that position, right? So, I'm going in there and I'm watching the game and I'm following the stuff, and, he didn't have a good game. They lost, he struggled, and while I'm watching the game, I always have my laptop up and I'm going through the fans are chatting and reading what they're saying, and I'm engaged in it. And it's interesting, a lot of them are like, man, he's trash, he's this, he's that. And I just think to myself, like, if this guy, didn't have any resolve and he read something like that, he gave up from the very beginning, maybe he turns out to be good. Maybe he turns out to be great, but you never know that if you don't stick to it, right? You don't give up. Like, how foolish would that be for the guy to give up his first game? Man, he's going to have bumps in the road. Of course, the speed of the game in the pros is not like the speed of the game in college. It's a different animal, right? And it's going to take time, right? So, you have to be at a point where you're going to tell yourself that no matter how bad it gets, no matter what opposition I come up against, I am not giving up. So that's, you have to have that in your head. And I'm sure that, listen, it's not like I, have a conversation with him and he calls me for advice. It's not like that goes on, but I guarantee he already does that, right? We just don't give up. And then I pulled up a stat. Like, if you're a Bronco fan, the best quarterback for the Broncos is always going to be, John Elway. And I have a lot of his autographed stuff that I own. But here's the stats, right? So when John Elway had his first game, he was 1 for 8. Bo was 23 for 38. John Elway threw for 14 yards. Bo threw for 108 yards. John Elway had 1 interception. Bo had 2. So Bo did worse in that stat. Elway was sacked 4 times. Bo was sacked twice. And Elway didn't even finish the game. They gave him the hook. They gave him the boot. So imagine if he gave up after that horrible game, he would have never been Hall of Fame. He would have never been a football legend. Here's the deal. We don't give up. Think about when God created the everything that we see. He did it in 6 days. Now, we know that God's God, and he could have did it all instantly, but he didn't. He did it over the course of 6 days, right? He took 6 days to build everything, right? To create everything that we see and we don't see. So anything that we do, anything we build, we create, there's going to be a process. It's going to take time. So know that's part of, right? That's part of our success. We got to go through the process. We got to be able to build it. It takes time. And not only takes time for the fact that we're building something, we know that part takes time, but it also takes time on developing us and building us. That way we're prepared and we're ready and we're in a position to be able to be built up so we can actually build up the thing that we're building. Does that make sense? So there's 2 pieces going on at the same time. And I think that's one of my favorite verses in the Bible that says, one of my favorites is perseverance is man's precious possession. You got to persevere. It's not going to happen overnight. Everything worth doing is going to take time, and you got to know from the very beginning that no matter what happens and no matter how long it takes, I am not going to give up. I'm not going to give it up. I don't care if it takes a year. I don't care if it takes 10 years. I don't care if it takes 50 years. I am not giving up. And I think if you have that mindset, then ultimately there's nothing that's going to derail you. People aren't going to derail you, especially people in these chats that are like, oh, this guy's garbage. He's not garbage. He's a kid. He's a kid that played in his first football game. Give him time. The game will slow down and he will do better. But tune out the noise. Stop listening to nonsense. Put yourself in position to be successful. Be around people that are going to build you up, that are going to pour in you, that are going to encourage you, not vice versa. If you have people in your life that are telling you to give up and blah, 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 you need to cut those people. I'm giving you permission to cut them from your life. Surround yourself with people that are going to build you up and that are going to encourage you and that are going to be there for you at times when you do feel like giving up, that they're not going to allow you to do that. So in all you do, remember why you're doing it, right? Don't give up. Have perseverance and see it until the end and watch God bless those steps. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If you're not a football fan, you probably didn't like some of that stuff that we were talking about football. But here's the deal. I love football. I enjoy it. I'm looking forward to see how well this kid does down the road. Tune out the haters. And in all you do, don't give up. So until next time, I'm Coach Martin. Make sure you visit us at CoachMartinShow.com for some super cool stuff. And we're looking forward to talking to you next week. Take care.